Awesome. All right, so we're back again. Welcome to Therapy Sessions. I'm your host, Auntie Hair Coach. And today we're speaking with Fatima. Fatima's entered the chat. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited.
Thank you for having me. I'm really honored.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. So first, before we even do anything, can you just tell us who is Fatima? I know you as FS Charlie on your Instagram.
Yes.
But tell me, who is Fatima?
Fatima is a lot of things. She is a mom. Fatima is an artist. Fatima is a wife. She's South Asian. She's Muslim. And she has a true, deep love and passion for the beauty industry.
Awesome. And how long have you been in the beauty industry?
I have been doing hair for about 16 years, but previous to hair, I was a makeup artist. So that started when I was like 18 years old, and we can all do the math if we want to. I'm not doing it.
No doubt. And so let's start with the makeup portion of your career.
Love to start with that.
Beautiful.
You know
what? Tell me
why I want to start with that, because I think, especially talking to the youth of this generation, I think that it will definitely date me as far as like what I was when I was 18. The way I loved and embodied makeup, it was like deep. I came from a background of South Asian people where you had three options for jobs. You either doctor, lawyer, engineer. Heaven forbid you became an artist. Not done. Now we have all these great, artists coming out, and God, Instagram has been a blessing for young artists who just want to do that. But in my time, impossible. It didn't happen. I had to go to the library and check out books about movie, makeup, and hair. That's how I bought my kit, depending on what the books told me that you need for what things. Diagrams, I wrote things out. I mean, when I say books and books and books on movie makeup, movie hairstyles, that's actually how I learned. My second thing that I did was I would go to the MAC counter, like most of us did at that time, because MAC was the spot to go to for artistry. And there was someone I would always buy from, but I was too broke to buy, so I'd buy one eyeshadow at a time. But they understood that. Pardon me. They understood that I was just really excited to be there. So this artist kind of would show me one thing every single time. And then I would buy that one thing that I could afford. And then the next time I would come back and he would do my makeup and then show me something else. And that relationship I nurtured for a really long time. And it ended up becoming my segue into bigger projects. I just stayed by his side. I ended up working side by side with him doing bridal at one point in my career. It was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So did you always know that you wanted to do makeup?
Always.
Like growing up?
It never faltered. I always knew I wanted to be in the beauty industry. There was never a time. You can ask my mom. She would say, give me kind of like distractions, like, okay, if you get 4.0, you can do blah, blah, blah. Or if you get, finish your degree, then do whatever you want afterward. And so she kept giving me these obstacles, and guess what I was doing the whole time? Hair, makeup on the weekends.
Yes.
That's how I got through college. I was, I have this cousin of mine who used to manage bars and clubs in West Hollywood. And he actually gave me my first shot. He was the first one who really, really believed in me to make actual money doing makeup. It was a special event. I was never forget. My first one that I did with him was New Year's Eve. And he was like, "You're an artist, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I body painted all the bartenders in the bar.
Yes, how fun.
And again, I got out my books and I learned how to do body art from the library. Like, that's the only way I did it. I went to the makeup counter and I was like, okay, I think I need specific products. And I like saved all the money I was making from God knows how many odd jobs I was doing in college to do that. And any South Asian girls that are out there watching, or you're gonna laugh at this part. Um, Imagine your conservative Muslim parents in West Hollywood on New Year's Eve who had to come because they were like, "You're gonna be doing what now? You're gonna be painting half-naked men's bodies for money." I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely not. I said, Mom, you got to trust me. And the only reason she trusted me is because my cousin was the one who allowed me to do it. And they sat there and they watched and they were fascinated. And they were like, I
Mm-hmm.
cannot believe you just earned like $600 for 2 hours work. And it was good work.
Yeah.
And everyone was so amazed by you. And like, they were really like, okay, okay, you could do this. Like, I could see how this could happen. And so
Yeah.
little by little, me allowing them to kind of like walk beside me in the career, they were more and more inclined to see that like this is real.
I love
Yeah.
it. And that's amazing that they were supportive of you. That's
I
awesome.
mean,
And given the
they
back,
became supportive. Yeah.
they became
We
sure,
had to trust
sure,
each other.
sure. So you did actually go to college.
I did. I did. I graduated.
What did you
Um,
study?
I studied sociology, psychology with a minor in political science.
How perfect to have that background in
Yeah,
this
yeah, it
industry.
was great.
Holy moly.
Yeah. I really actually thought, okay, if I'm going to go to college, maybe I will become a therapist of sorts. I thought that would be the route that I would head. Um, I ended up becoming a teacher for a while. I was a teacher for seventh and eighth grade history, and I was a guidance counselor at the school, and
Mm,
it just wasn't for me.
mm,
I ended up doing hair and
mm,
makeup on the side the whole time, and
mm-hmm.
um, really the turning point was I ended up getting a really great opportunity um, to like work with this up and coming salon. What's the word I'm looking for? Brand, I guess, that was trying to expand, and
Hmm.
I took that opportunity instead.
Okay. And so, okay, that's
Yeah.
awesome. All right. So at this point, we've now, where are you even have you even gone to cosmetology school
No,
yet?
haven't gone to cosmetology school yet.
Okay.
Still not there.
All right.
So the
Okay.
next step was working with that salon company. They were very, very well known as the place to get your bridal makeup done in all of Orange County, LA. So I worked for them, and that took me so many cool places. Um, I mean, the number of like glamour weddings I did. I mean, when Indian people do glamour, it's like a whole nother level. So,
Uh,
so the number of that, I got
that,
flown to Australia to do a wedding. I remember at one point it was so awesome. Um,
that is amazing.
um, but again, like the I felt a little limited. Um, Bridal was not really like my thing. I do it, but it wasn't like my thing. I really enjoyed the like body art. I like working with drag queens. I like the movie makeup. I wanted to like be bigger.
Exaggerated and
Yeah.
dramatic. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I met some like more higher up people in like the Mac world. And so I decided to join Mac like full time because there's a lot of opportunities that um, came, I should say, when you worked for a company like that. This was like pre Estee Lauder times, when they were truly like still just a unique artist company. And it was,
Are we in the 90s?
we are in early 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah, early
All right.
2000s. Yeah. Um,
Mhm.
so it was great. It was actually such a dreamy job. I used to love it so much, so much, so much, so much. The people I met, I mean, the people I worked with, the artistry, I mean, so inspiring beyond. Um, about 4 years of that, and then, same thing. You just start to feel like, what is next for me? What's more? Like I feel like I work way too hard for me to be limited to this little space. So I want my hard work to mean something more. Um, so that's when I decided to go to cosmetology school. I said, I want to join the
Okay.
unions. I want to have my cosmetology license. I want to grow. So I did. That's when I went to cosmetology school. And I went to
Okay.
SFIEC.
What is it called?
SFIEC, it's the Paul Mitchell School in San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good job. Gotcha. And
Um,
Paul Mitchell has really good
I
schools.
sure do,
They're so
truly.
good.
Um,
They're so good.
I remember the dean of the school called it the Harvard of cosmetology, and I kind of agree that it was
Hmm.
actually like the opportunities I gained from like my 9 months. And at that time it was 1,600 hours, and somehow I did it in 9 months, because if you're not getting it by now, I'm not someone that likes to wait around. It's like next, let's
Hmm.
go. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
um I think I joined every single extracurricular activity, sometimes doing day school, night school together, whatever I could do, because I was just ready for what was after cosmetology school. Um,
Yes.
I had such great mentors there. Um, my makeup mentor actually ended up being like my greatest gift and enemy at the time. I had such a hard time with her, but I learned so much from her, and I value her
Hmm.
so much. I'll tell you, her name is Deborah Dietrich. She is,
Hmm.
to me,
That name is
still, she's in a powerhouse in the makeup industry. So,
okay.
I'm very thankful to have earned her respect. And when I say earned it, it was not easy. She knew that I was coming into that space already knowing makeup, already working in the industry, that I'm going to have a little bit of an ego. And I remember one of the most valuable lessons she taught me was we were having, a makeup competition in the class, and whoever won got something or the other. I couldn't even remember anymore at this point, because that's what she taught me. It doesn't matter. Um, And I had clearly won. I had clearly done the best work. And she just looked at me and said, "It's not your turn this time." And I was like, "What the hell?" Like,
Uh-oh.
I did the best work. And she said, "And if you didn't win, would you have still done the best work?" Right?
Mm.
And I was like, "Yeah, I guess I would have, actually, you know?"
Yeah.
And that whole concept of, like, you have to answer to you. Like, you only have to better your best to please yourself, and not really care about what the approval is and what the award is, the shiny gold medal at the end of it. You have to still love what you did. And that was really the turning point for me with a lot of things, how I approached almost all of my artistry. That, like, I almost don't even care now what my client has to say. I will be the first one to call my client and be like, I was thinking about it. I could have done better. If I could have you back, and I will.
Mhm.
And I mean, they're always like, "Fati, you're insane. I love it." And I'm like, but I didn't love it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's
I
very
had
much
a,
ingrained in me
no,
now.
go ahead.
No, it's very much ingrained
Yeah.
in me now. That's all I wanted to say.
No, I love that. Um, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're in beauty school. We've
Yes.
already got some connections at Mac,
Yes.
and then we decide to go to cosmetology school.
Yes. Um,
Graduated in 9 months,
I
which is
graduated in nine
crazy.
months. It was crazy, but in that 9 months, I went to LA with SFIC. I went to Las Vegas. I went to Orlando, and I went to New York. Can you imagine?
That is
That's why they're the Harvard of
incredible.
business of beauty schools.
That's
Like,
incredible.
right?
So incredible.
Yeah.
I graduated from cosmetology school in 95.
Hmm.
And I didn't learn much. And I'm just going to be completely honest. I was a horrible student. I was not passionate. I didn't care. I was just trying to get my license. Years later, I became an educator for Paul Mitchell.
Hmm.
And we did some training at a Paul Mitchell school in San Diego. And that was my first time ever stepping foot because Paul Mitchell schools didn't exist
Yes.
in 1995, right? And I walked in this school and my jaw hit the floor. These schools are incredible. I absolutely agree when they call them the Harvard of education. The work that these students were doing, I know
Unreal.
people that have been there for 20 years that still can't do that to this day.
Absolutely.
It's
They really do give great practical, hands-on education, as well as the exposure to the industry at large. And I think that that's
incredible.
humongous. Like, I don't know how I would have navigated even knowing who are great mentors to follow. Like, what are all your options to pursue? I would never have even known any of that. I went in
Yeah.
strictly to get my license at a great place, and that was it. I didn't know that you could become an educator. I didn't know that there was platform artists. I didn't know. I thought like there's people that do movies, there's people that work in salons, and there's nothing else in between, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought I wanted to be the
Yeah.
people that work in
Exactly.
movies. Like that's the pinnacle of your
Yes.
career, you know? Um,
Yes.
that wasn't it, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my mentors in school, you know, I had again really great teachers. They had said to me when I was graduating, I said, Fatima, I think it would be a really big shame if you didn't pursue hair. Like if all you're gonna do is makeup, like I just feel like it would be a shame. And so because of that, I asked myself, I remember we watched this film in class called The Leading Ladies of Hair, and I saw Ruth Roach. And I was like, yes, there she is, somebody who is not taking no for an answer from this industry. She did editorial, she did platform work, she owned a salon. She, I mean, everything,
She's such a badass.
everything. She did everything.
Yeah.
And at the
Yeah.
up till that point, I also recall people saying, "Oh, well, you have to kind of choose a side, color or cut, or this or that." And I was like, "But I kind of like it all. What? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if I could choose. I don't know if I could
Mm-hmm.
put myself in any sort of a box. It's not really like my thing." And then I saw her, and I was like, "Boxless, limitless, love her." So I do this thing where I like bet myself. So I said, it's her or not, no one. Like, I'll go join like a whatever salon that's convenient to like my home and, you know, stay here in the Bay Area. And, or it's Ruth Roach. Like, that was it. So I remember I just like, I had just graduated. Funny enough, Deborah calls me one day and she said, "Do you want to work on the set of Milk?" And I did, and it was amazing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I did it. You know, I did the thing that I set out to do, which was work on films. Oddly enough, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
actually like it. It was a cool experience.
Okay.
And when I say it was cool, because it was like, who gets to do that in their career? Sean Penn, James Franco, Gus Van Sant, like these powerhouses,
Word.
you know, on set. And you're just like, am I here right now? Is this my life?
I
Um,
know, right? Is this your life? Yeah.
but honestly, if you ask me from a passion point of view, it didn't actually like spark anything in me, which I'm grateful for. I'm grateful to have had that experience to say it didn't, because now I don't live with any sort of regret, you know? Um,
Yes.
but while I was on set, I decided to take the 2 days I had off because the schedules are bananas. And I told Ruth Roach's receptionist at the time, Dana, I said, "I'm going to fly into town. I just want to shadow for a day. Is that possible?" And like, that's all I want. Literally, I was there for the 36 hours. Like, it was nothing. Maybe 2 days. Might have been 2 days. Um, so I went in, I shadowed for that day. When I tell you it was the longest day of my life, longest day of my life. I don't even remember where I stayed. I don't remember anything about that trip except for going there. You know what I mean?
You did what you
Was
set
I
out
by
to do.
myself?
Yeah.
I don't even remember that. If I was by myself or did my mom come with me? How did I get there? I don't know. I
Yeah.
just remember that day itself. I remember what I wore.
Mhm.
I stayed there. I think they opened at 9. I stayed there till 11 o'clock at night. And she had me doing things like, oof, did we do work that day? I'll never forget it. It was like, forget cut and color. We did like wig installation, we did extension that day. I was like, wow, it was
Wow.
amazing. And when I say like, talk about the spark, yeah, I sparked. And she was like,
Okay.
"Will you come back tomorrow?" I was like, okay, everything in me wants to say yes, but I brought one outfit with me.
Yeah.
That was my
Yeah.
answer. I was like, I have to be
Mhm.
honest, like the other outfit I have is like traveling clothes, and I feel really weird about like showing up like that. And she was
Mhm.
like, "I literally don't care. Come tomorrow." And so I did.
Mhm.
And I spent another incredible day with them. And I was just like, this was so cool. And then I flew back and I'm back on set. And, you know, I'm getting phone calls from, I had to go through quite a few interviews um, at the time because this is
Hold on.
remote.
Hold on. I want to interrupt you
Oh,
real
that's
quick.
okay.
I'm sorry. because you're flying. So where are you living at the time and where are you flying to?
I was living in San Francisco filming Milk, and I'm flying to New York to visit
Okay,
her. So we had only met that.
gotcha.
That's how we met, like actually in
Okay,
person. And again,
okay.
she didn't have an Instagram at the time, no Facebook. This wasn't a thing. I actually had to Google that she had and I was excited that I could Google it, that she had a salon.
Hmm.
And I called the
Hmm.
salon, and could I even email resume at that point? Yeah, I think I could. I emailed my resume over, but I didn't have like a book to show her or anything like that. Like there was no website that I had for myself. Like everything was pretty much
Yeah.
physical. Um, yeah, so we interviewed, we talked over the next few weeks, and then she offered me an opportunity. The film wrapped, and like 2 weeks I moved to New York. And that's what, yeah, it was wild.
Wow.
But again, I bet on myself. I said, give yourself
Yeah.
6 months. If you hate it, go home. It's okay, you know?
Yeah.
Just do it. Give yourself 6 months. Give it a shot. And 6 months turned into 15 years. That,
Wow.
yeah, it sure did.
Wow.
I mean, when I think about that, like take me back to that moment to where like I am today, I really was like, no, I'm just gonna go and test it out. We'll see. It's not a big deal. I'll be right
Hmm.
back.
Hmm.
I sure did
That's
not come back.
incredible.
Um,
Yeah.
New York is like a very fun, cool place to start your career. So if anyone's
I
considering it, I say yes.
bet on yourself.
Bet on
Bet on
yourself.
yourself.
Bet on yourself, but understand what that means. It means you got to put in the work.
Yeah.
The coolest thing about working in New York City, if you're ever considering it, is if you are open, if you are looking for it, opportunities literally fall into your lap. You have to be willing to say yes. And I feel like when I look around at my peers in the industry in New York, so many moments have passed people by because they just weren't willing to say yes. And when you are, it's crazy what happens to you. Like insane the people that come across your chair. You're just like, how? And if you honor that,
Yes.
if you honor yourself, if you honor your craft and show up, like truly show up, God, it's like limitless. The things I get to say no to now because I did say yes then are like, like I can say now very confidently, like, I don't really prefer working with like celebrities too often unless they're really kind human beings that have been like, referred to me by somebody like I know and trust. Like,
Mhm.
I'm at the place in my career now where I can say, your dollar is not more valuable than your dollar. I'd rather work with five people that value me and my time
Mhm.
than one person who just like,
It's a jerk.
yeah, I'm not interested in that anymore. I don't care for the like, the excitement of like, oh, but I saw so and so. I don't, it's all good. I'm good. But I
Mhm.
get to say that now because I did all that then.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
it's
I
so
want
cool.
to take a quick moment and kind of go backwards a little bit because early in your career, when you were just doing makeup before cosmetology school, it was all about the hair and the movie hair and
Yes.
makeup. Then you worked on the set of Milk
Hmm.
and you said you didn't enjoy
I
it.
didn't.
What did you tell us about that experience and what about it was just left you feeling maybe not so inspired?
Um, well, it like everything, it's not what it seems to be. In my experience, it wasn't what I expected it to be. I had this expectation of, you're moving and you're shaking and you're this and you're that all day long. And what ended up happening was it's really a lot of hustle in the morning. Right when you start, hair and makeup is like first to go. They got to be first on set, get everyone ready, and then they shoot. And then you wait and you wait
Hurry up.
and you wait and you wait and you wait. Sometimes 6, 7 hours of waiting, but you can't
Mhm.
go nowhere because you have to take everything down. So I think I read like 4 books on set, which is not bad. And again, all of this is probably perfect for someone else. It just wasn't
Mhm.
for me. And there is a bit of chaos around the idea of working with, these celebrities that have lives, of course, like Someone got sick. Okay, we have to change the entire shooting schedule. So now you were going to come to work at 8 a.m. Now you're going to come at 5 p.m. and you're going to stay till 5 a.m. And, like,
Oh, good Lord.
right.
Yeah.
It's a little tough. And you do that for like 2.5 months, So number one, I was extremely burnt out. I didn't like that feeling. I didn't like feeling constantly like I just go home, I sleep, I barely eat, and then I'm back on set again. And yes, there's great money in it, but it just like didn't feel like worth it to me. I didn't like feeling that burnt out. I didn't like, and again, I think a lot of the burnout feeling to me too was the hurry up and wait. Um,
Mhm.
that also like makes me very anxious, personally, makes me very anxious. And I will say the third thing that I wasn't that into is from a cultural point of view, I always felt like I would have a family, I would have a partner. That is something I saw for my life. And when I looked around, it didn't really feel like I saw that in a lot of the people that were there because of how haphazard things were. I can't even imagine. Like, I couldn't even keep up with my mom. She was like, when are you coming home? When will you be there? Like, how do I know if I can even like see you for dinner? How could people do that with their like children? How do they do that with their spouse? And it just felt like long term, that was not something that felt like it fit in with what I wanted. I I always felt I wanted more autonomy in my life. I knew I'd have to work toward it, but like when you're looking at the people who are at the pinnacle of their career who are still not incorporating that, you're like, I wonder if this is something that's just hard to achieve at the same time. It made me question it. Let's just say that. And so, yeah, for a lot of reasons, even doing shoots and stuff, the hurry up and wait still to this day kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety. It's just not like my thing. I just, I prefer to keep a steady flow of things going, especially in the creative
Yeah.
process.
Love that. Okay, so you're in New York.
I'm in New York.
Bringing you back to New York,
Okay.
sorry. In New York, you've been working under Ruth Roach and getting all these opportunities. At some point, you had the opportunity to work at New York Fashion Week, yeah?
Yeah, actually, yes. My
How
first
was
week.
that? That seems like, I just imagine like shoes flying everywhere and like, just complete. Tell us about
So
that.
New York Fashion Week, so cool. I mean, it's just like very exciting. There is models running everywhere. They're not happy. They're tired. They're hungry. They're, have been from show to show to show, have been poked and prodded at themselves. Um, some of them are just so excited to be there because it's like their first or second show they're ever doing, which is like the sweetest thing ever. Um,
Mhm.
some of them are so seasoned that they're like not, but they're reading their book while you're doing hair and makeup.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and there's looks you have to execute. You have a very small space. You have to be extremely efficient at what you're doing. Um, but it's just like so cool. It's so cool. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna lie. That's like fun. Um, again, like a very anxious like situation for me because it's like so go and like you have 5 to 10 minutes to complete like every look.
Hmm.
So valuable from a knowing yourself point of view that like if you know you can do this, God, when someone comes behind the chair and is like, "Oh, could you add a few extra curls because I'm going out tonight?" It's like, "Boom, I got you." Like you don't get so
Hmm.
much like you really find what you're capable of, and I think that that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, I've done quite a few shows, and I loved it all. I think Fashion Week is so fun to do. Um, if I could demystify anything about Fashion Week for new people that are in the industry, don't expect to make money. It's not for money. It's for fun. Remember that. It's for fun. It's for opportunities. It's for networking. Um, you show up ready to work. You be on your toes. You be prepared. You have your kit ready to go. Like, really, you need to have like a great kit ready to go for that because you just never know what someone's going to throw at you. You don't know what type of model is going to come into your chair. Please be well versed in all hair types. absolutely be versed in all hair types. It is absolutely not fair for the black girl that comes backstage that she feels uncomfortable and insecure because you don't know how to do her hair. All hair is hair. We must know how to do
Mhm.
it. That has to be known,
Absolutely.
period.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
so we saw a lot of that. And I know now it is changing, but it's just not really cool. You should always have a lot of hair wefts around too. You never know what you're going to need. So that's when I say, like, have a good kit. If that's the like life you want to pursue, you really need to have a great kit ready. I'm not talking just pins and, you know, good brushes. Like,
Mhm.
you need to have a good amount of hair, have some good clip-ins ready, know how to put that in on the fly. If that's the type of life you want to pursue, you're going to really have to also pursue some other um, skill sets that you may not
Mhm.
find behind the chair, but that will help you
Okay.
behind the chair. I mean, I can whip up a set of clip-ins for anybody, anytime, any place now, you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
easy. I'm like,
I
and
know how to work on your
I was gonna say, and I don't have to do it in 10 minutes. I have, like, a day.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes. And so just to kind of piggyback on that, also it sounds like you need a side hustle if that's the life you want to pursue,
100%.
since it
Because
doesn't.
it's not all the time, right? It's not all the time.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
And
Mhm.
this is just a tidbit I want to offer just because you just mentioned about side hustle and just me living in New York and seeing how many different types of hairdressers there are in New York City. Um, I think the pandemic taught a lot of the people that pursue that career, um, that have that side hustle, that would do mainly editorial, mainly work with celebrities, mainly work with their agencies, and then they had no behind the chair experience for years and years and years. I think we all learned how valuable it is to have behind the chair experience as well. I think it's really important to keep your craft going and not put yourself into any sort of tunnel at any point in your career. Because you don't know what's coming, you don't know what's happening. And I saw a lot of those people get really stuck. And these are people that were like killing it, but no one was touring, no one was doing shows, no one was going to galas and events. And
Mhm.
I saw some people that, like, I mean, they would be touring like Thailand, China, this and that, like working as an assistant just because they were like, look, I just need a paycheck right now.
Mhm.
And no shame in their game. Like, I respect that they still kept working, but that's tough, you know? They didn't have a clientele to
Mhm.
come back to. They didn't have any of that going on, and it was it was rough. So everything comes with a grain of salt, you know? Everything does. And you
Yeah.
constantly in that world must say yes.
Mhm.
And so yeah,
Okay.
saying yes is huge.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, so you triggered a couple of things for me with what you were just talking about. I just realized you were going between California and New York. Where were you in 2020 when the world shut down?
You're gonna laugh. I had just had my second baby born in December 2019. I I actually I've been bi-coastal for a long time now. I had my babies in California because that's where my family is. And my babies are also 14 months apart. So my older one was still a little one when I had my
Mhm.
um, second one. So I really needed a lot of help. And that's why I decided to have the child in California. And I had just moved back. I had had 2 days back in the salon, 2 days. I'll never forget. Um, and then the world shut down. So I was in New York City. I had just gotten off maternity leave. I know, and we hadn't moved yet because I had just gotten back. So we were still in a one-bedroom apartment. And then they said, "Oh, we're gonna close the salon for health reasons." And I was like, "Okay," because here I am with my infant baby. I'll just stay with her. Like, we're good, you know? And then It sounds weird, but it kind of worked out for me because I got this really nice extended maternity leave and like got to just like heal, recover, like just be with my baby with no guilt, no obligation. Um, I was really thankful at that time that I had been a W-2 employee because I was able to collect unemployment um, past, like my maternity leave money. And I mean, sadly, a weird blessing in disguise.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I totally
Yeah.
agree.
It was,
Yeah.
yeah, I
As
hate that
crazy
it
as it
happened.
was.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
worked out for me and my lifestyle at the time.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would go for walks, with my older daughter when we needed like some exercise breaks. I happened to at the time live right by the water, so it was very like, well ventilated, lots of parks. So we got to like be outside a lot. Um, which again was like just like this weird blessing, like strange, weird blessing in disguise. Yeah. It was a small space, but as most New Yorkers, I also like high five to any New Yorkers that survived the pandemic because we were all stuck in these tiny, tiny little apartments,
Yeah.
tiny, tiny
Yeah.
spaces, and we made it through. Even though, you couldn't get delivery, you couldn't get your groceries, we couldn't get anything because we didn't, different out there.
You couldn't even get delivery, like groceries delivered?
So imagine like those workers had to still come to work, right? New York functions on just a very different level, right? We go out for laundry, we go out for groceries, we go out for simple things. We go out to the deli for our coffee. Like people are out to do the daily things in their lives. They don't really do things in the house, right? Like because our
Hmm.
home is really just the place you sleep. It's New York. You should be out. You should be experiencing things. Um,
Hmm.
so I remember grocery duty was like a really tough challenge during that time because I was like, I'm not taking my infant to the grocery store. So I had a car at the time, and so we would just like park outside, have to wait in line to get into the grocery store, sometimes an hour just to get in. And then, my husband would like go do the grocery shopping while I waited inside with that. And that's what we did. That's just what we did.
Wow.
It's okay, it's all good. We all did what we had to do at that time. It was wild.
Yeah.
I think we all
Yeah.
realized what we're capable of in that time too, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, and I totally agree. It was like this moment where there was so much happening, but it was like also kind of things just kind of stood still. And I know, at least for me, it was a perfect opportunity. I had just decided that I was moving to Atlanta.
Hmm.
I was living in Indianapolis at the time. And so we had just decided that we were moving, and then boom, And so it really gave me an opportunity to kind of just sit down and reflect and
When do
plan
we get to
and
do that?
see.
Sit down and
Yeah,
reflect a little.
never.
Like, what does it all mean? Like, am I going back to the chair when I'm done with all this? Like, is this worth my
Mhm.
time? Like, do I really just want to stay home with my kids? Like, is there places where my value is going to be more appreciated? Like, all of that, all of that.
Mhm.
And I will say, I,
Absolutely.
I did have a lot of eye-opening experience during that time where I was looking at things. Oh man, I was going to say this is like a deeper conversation. I don't know if anyone wants to hear it, but um, again, as you become a mom in this industry, it's not the same as other people. We don't have maternity leave built in. We don't have systems in place in
Mhm.
salon for you to walk away and come back, get paid, and not worry about what happens when you come back. That
Absolutely.
insecurity is terrifying, as well as like
Mhm.
just like creating a whole life within your body and then bringing it out into the world and somehow keeping it alive.
Absolutely.
There's that part.
Absolutely.
And not even
And
just
finding a job that offers insurance is not really a
thank you.
thing.
Exactly. Like all of the
Mhm.
above issues, like issues on issues
Mhm.
on issues. Um, I
Mhm.
was very fortunate that my partner has works for a company that has incredible insurance, so that wasn't a issue for me. And I don't take that for granted at all because, like, again, being in the hair industry and you're watching your friends, like, even think about having a child, like, they have to think about that. And I'm like, damn, that sucks. Like, that is rough.
Mhm.
What a factor to have
Mm-hmm.
to take into consideration. Not to mention that you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to get paid for the entire time that you decide you want to bond with your child. Um, like we think like, oh, I can only afford to take 3 months off. That's like very
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate that we have to think like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's other ways of thinking about it now in hindsight. There's things that one can do. There's ways to prepare yourself. I'm happy to talk more on that if we want to at another time.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I was coming from a place of fear when I entered like the whole pregnancy like thing. It was very unfortunate to have been living in that fear. I had also like gone through IVF and I didn't know if it was going to work and like all that other stuff, right? So I had been living in fear for a while about like what comes next. Also,
Mm-hmm.
just doing all that as well as working on your feet, 40 hours a week was just not
Mm-hmm.
easy at all. Also, just making the
Mm-hmm.
choice to put yourself and your lifestyle first when you're so passionate about your career is not easy. It's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyone
Mm-hmm.
out there that's trying to plan a family as well as keep your career going, like I see you. It's hard to say
Mm-hmm.
yes when your body is physically saying no. You need to take a break.
Yeah.
You have to
No, for
listen to your
sure.
body for you, for your child, for your family. You have to say yes to you every time. But it's hard, right? Because every time this whole time I've been saying be a yes person, be a yes person. This is the time where you have to be
But
a
there
no
needs to be
person.
a moment.
Yes. If I
Mm-hmm.
can reframe it, you're saying
Yeses
yes
are
to
never
yourself.
not going to be a thing.
Yeah, you just have to
Yes.
say yes to yourself and not the outside world at that time. Um, Definitely. And just be aware of what the world around you is saying. Like, I was definitely working for a company at the time that I didn't realize was not actually being supportive. And because I was operating from a place of fear, I was so worried about not having a job coming back and not have losing my clientele and what will happen and this and that, that I was like, I'm being severely underpaid. And I'm also like letting these people make money off of my client even when I'm not there. So who's benefiting off of this relationship? But when you're operating
Wow.
from fear, you're not
Mm-hmm.
seeing that. But as soon as I went through the pandemic and realized all of those things, that like, wait a minute, two back-to-back maternity leaves, the entire time my clients stayed loyal to the salon. So the salon
Mm-hmm.
still made money, including all my coworkers still made money while I was gone. Like there was no like me being gone was not a dent in the business. It was just
Right.
one less person they had to pay. So in fact, beneficial. And also like how much were you paying me in general? Like, what was my commission structure looking like that
Yeah.
I did all that for your business and we were still good? So I remember coming back and being like, we have to talk about things. Like, I believe my value is more than this. And they disagreed. But let me tell you,
Mm.
I found a place that did agree that my value was more than that. And I ended up being able to work uh, probably any mom's dream job. I was working like 16, max 20 hours a week, um, making a 60/40 commission. Like I didn't have to worry about supplies, I didn't have to worry about anything. I was making great money with my full book of
Nice.
business, with the hours
Mm-hmm.
while my kids were in school. I didn't have to I worked 3 days a week. I didn't sacrifice any time with my children. It's fantastic.
Nice.
But that worked for
Yeah.
me. That was me saying yes to me
Mm-hmm.
and knowing what my value and
Yes.
my worth was. And let me tell you, like I don't think I'll ever go back to doing less than that. And now I'm an independent contractor, so it's even better. I make my own hours, my own life. I
Yes.
set my own prices, my own schedule.
Mhm.
I am so happy in this career, in this moment, that it is almost hard for me to even fathom that I have ever worked in a commission environment. But that's
Seriously.
right. That's also like you you get to a point where you get to make those choices for
Absolutely.
yourself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It takes some
Absolutely.
time.
Doing the work early gets you there
Yes.
later.
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay, so at one point, I know that you were a salon owner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Let's talk about that.
So that was a cool time. So I had been working for Ruth. I assisted her. I assisted the salon. I'm just gonna like make a comment about this and then I'm just gonna let it go because I can see the value of where we are at now. But I was an assistant at the time when we worked 5 days a week. I was there at 8:30 in the morning. We didn't close till 9:30 at night. There was no lunch break. There was one, sometimes two assistants, sometimes. For six stylists, sometimes seven.
Mhm.
I did shampoos, blow dries, I answered phones, I cleaned the salon, I did towels, I restocked color, I did, like everything,
Yeesh.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I still feel
Mm-hmm.
like I could have done more. Do you know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
when you're focused, when you're paying attention, it's just like you can do it all. I had
Mm-hmm.
great communication with my stylist. I learned everything during that time because that's the time when you are have to be hyper dialed in to what is going on in the salon, timing, um, who is tends to be a quicker blow dryer, who's the slower one, who needs help, who needs you to jump in and like grab a brush and do it with them to get the guest out on time because their next one's in the chair. Like how do you all that was all learned in my apprenticeship and I value that so much. So much.
Yeah.
Now I understand
Mhm.
like the industry now we have to do 8 hour shifts and lunch breaks and 15-minute breaks and it's true. Like those things are great and totally. But if assistants could, and again, people coming out of beauty school, that is the best time. It is the best time of your career. You get to just absorb. That's when you get to learn what kind of hairdresser you want to be. Find that person that like resonates with you and just watch them. Watch how their hands move. Watch how they talk to their guests. Watch how they schedule themselves. All of that. If it's invaluable. Um,
Yeah.
I still, to this day, would give anything to watch Ruth's hands work. It used to be my favorite thing in the world to do, and there wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
single time I took that for granted. If she was working, I was watching.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I didn't feel like that about the other people I worked with, but obviously like it's like watching somebody conduct a symphony. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me. Um, and when you watch the way her hands work, when you watch the way somebody truly moves, they're truly moves, um, I think it only makes you better um, to be like witness to all that. So take that opportunity. That is my biggest advice to people out there. Take that opportunity. Be present. Be there with them. Try to anticipate what's going on in their head. What is the next piece of hair she's going to pick up? How's she going to formulate? See if you can get there before they get there. It's actually like a really cool exercise for yourself. Pardon me.
Yeah.
Um, that's what I learned during my apprenticeship. I adored it. Um, I ended up taking on a lot of Ruth's color appointments when I got on the floor. Color was something that just kind of made sense to me. Um, and one of her colorists at the time was just like very smart with how she booked things, how she applied things, and so I learned a lot from her. And then I was also free because they were all booked up. So here I am, like the new kid on the block. So she let me take a lot of her color appointments because she would just take a long time on color. Always beautiful, but New York City, everybody's ready to go before they even walk in.
Mm-hmm.
um, Also, the cool thing that Ruth used to do with her guests is she didn't really care if the book said we had time or not. The answer was always yes. Always yes.
Okay.
Um,
Uh-huh.
the philosophy of that was they're here, they're asking you to spend their time and money, like you should value that. So we would always find a way. And if there's a person available, here you go, see them, right? So that's how I got to doing a lot of her guests. And so we were sharing quite a few clients. And then as Ruth got busier, I was taking on a lot more of her clients. And then I just started being like, one of the busier stylists at the salon very soon in my career. I think like by my second year, I was already in the 100,000 range of like commissions. Yeah, it was really great. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then she got an opportunity to work with, I believe it was Pureology, and just couldn't be as present in the salon. And so she approached a few of us with this idea that, would you want to take over?
I need to, hey,
Yeah,
Fatima, hold that thought for
no
me,
worries.
please. When I will be right back. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
So uh, yeah, it's fine. No. No. I was going to say no. Elder change. Let me see what time it is. Okay. Sorry. Okay, Fatima, I'm so sorry. I
Oh,
will
that's
edit
okay.
that out.
That's okay. Yeah, no worries. Um,
Go ahead.
no, she just approached us and she said, "Is this something that any of you guys would be interested in?" And I just think I was the one who was like, "Yeah, I would be interested in that. I've always dreamed of owning a salon." And so I took over and I ran Rare by FS Charlie for about 6 years, and it was
Nice.
great. Again, I've been like super blessed with being able to try everything in this industry. Ownership was cool, like super cool. I've learned that my gut instinct about running a business was right. I've learned that um, I have a hard time with keeping people accountable to themselves. And that's not really
Mhm.
something I like to do, actually. I'm not really interested in making somebody
Okay.
motivate themselves. I think that it comes from inside and it's not really my job to do that for somebody. Um, but I also think the industry has shifted in such an enormous way since the pandemic that I don't think that that's a problem anymore. Um, on another note, but it was great. We
Mm-hmm.
used to have all these great events. We used to do there was this thing called Fashion Night Out in New York. We participate in that. We would have we started doing like influencer parties before it was a thing. We did that. Yeah,
Mm.
we were doing that. I mean, we were right in the heart of Tribeca, so it was just like a really cool, fun place that got a lot of attention, and I think people to this day still remember that spot. They're like, it was just the best salon. So
Yes.
Ruth really gave me the platform for that. I'm ever grateful and in her debt for giving me the opportunity to be a salon owner. It was amazing. It was just an amazing time.
Yeah. And what made you decide to transition out of salon ownership?
Just a couple things. Number one, I think if anyone is ever considering owning a salon, the biggest thing you have to remember is you're a business person first and a hairdresser second. Um, and the business person always has to win. The business person always has to win. So um, that was becoming a little difficult for me from there was like they raised the rent.
Mm.
You got to make a choice. You just have to make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I had just gotten married
Mm-hmm.
and my choice was, you know what? I think I'm going to pursue my life and not this anymore.
In a different way.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. And I'm
Absolutely.
actually really glad I did. I have no regrets
Yeah.
about closing it at all.
Yeah. So you get married and then eventually become a mom.
Yeah.
And I know that when I started in the industry, I already had two children,
Mhm.
but they were very, very young. Both of my children, my daughter was actually a newborn
Oh
when
wow.
I started my career after maternity
Oh
leave.
my goodness.
She was raised in the salon. And so we were talking earlier about how you kind of balance the salon life with motherhood, and it's insane, right?
There is, I think it was Shonda Rhimes who said, like, you're never actually winning at anything. When you are killing it in the salon, you are failing at home. And when you are killing it at home, you are failing in the salon. What you don't see is the sacrifice it took to get to that space. And that, like, felt so good to hear somebody like Shonda Rhimes say that, because I was like, yes, it's always a sacrifice. You never feel like it's enough. And I feel like the only remedy to that is to just be present in the moment that you're in. It's just the only
Mm-hmm.
way that you can ever enjoy anything you're doing. Like when I'm in the salon, I mean, and you can tell me you agree or don't agree, but like it feels so good to do something that belongs to you. It doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
this isn't for anyone else, it's for you. And my clients will also be a testament to that, that like I take it very personally. Their hair really belongs to me until they leave. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't do it for the money, although I like the money, but
The money's
the money
nice.
is nice. But I do it because I truly
Mm-hmm.
love it. You know what I mean? And this is my expression. This is my artistry. This is my working with my hands. It's all the things that I don't get to be when I'm a mom. And
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, there's activities and slime and all that stuff, but like, I'm good. You know, like keeping them
Mm-hmm.
alive and fed is like really tough. And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like I also just love the hell out of them. I would do anything for them. I want to be present for them. I don't want to be burnt out. I don't want to resent my time with them because I feel like I'm not me. And so
Mm-hmm.
I need both. I can't live
Mm-hmm.
without either. And
Mm-hmm.
so I have made time to have both. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
I feel like any mom, anyone who's thinking about becoming a mom in this industry or parent, I shouldn't even say mom, a parent,
Mm-hmm.
you will make infinite sacrifices for your children. One of them should not be
Mm-hmm.
your sanity and yourself. And that's why I go to therapy. I see my therapist regularly. We do it over video um, because at the end of the day, sometimes I just don't have a moment to take a full hour away from my life. Let me tell you, I've done therapy while I'm at gymnastics. I've done therapy while my kids are at the playground. I've done therapy in the craziest places. Um,
Yes.
but my therapist understands that like the work is taking the time for yourself and your sanity. It doesn't matter where or when or how, as long as you're always taking that time to check in with you. And I think everybody needs it. I think everybody needs a soundboard. I think everybody needs a place to just vent, speak their mind, say the things that society, pressure, culture, religion don't allow you to say. We all need that safe space. So if you don't have a therapist, by all means, please find one. There are so many platforms.
Amen.
If you
Amen.
have insurance at these days, I mean, it's possible. I mean, I'm trying to think of like Headway. I know Headway will work with you if you don't have insurance. They'll find out what you can pay. There's another app called Alma who will all work with you if you don't have insurance and you need a way to pay. They will find you therapists that work within what you can afford. So if that is your worry, please don't let it be a worry. Please find a therapist. Every single person needs a therapist. Everybody needs help. Everybody needs somebody in their corner because the world is not easy. It's not easy to navigate. Your heart is not a simple place. Your brain is not a simple place. And let somebody guide you.
Girl, you're giving me goosebumps. I've so enjoyed speaking with
Thank
you.
you.
I don't want to take up your, I know you're a busy
It's
woman,
all
so I
good.
have one more
Yes,
question for you, and then I'm going to let you get to your
sure.
babies. So the final question is, it's graduation day.
Yeah.
Little Fatima's just graduated from cosmetology school. What advice do you give her?
Oh, I would tell her, girl, don't be afraid. Trust yourself. You know you always have. Your gut is right. Follow it and never limit yourself. You're going to have it all.
I love that.
Thank
I
you.
love that.
Thank you. Also, I just wanted to mention I'm going to be teaching at IBS in New York. It's a first for me, and I'm really proud of myself for doing something a big first like that, being a mom of two and traveling across country. So if you guys happen to be in New York City for IBS in New York at Javits, I will be teaching and come and say hello.
Yes. And then do you have some place where you would like people to follow you if they're interested in
Yeah, sure.
keeping up with you?
My Instagram, I'm not a typical hairdresser on Instagram. You're going to see a little bit about my life, like what I do, how does it all happen, and a lot of good hair. You can follow me
Mhm.
at FS Charlie. You can also follow me. My website is fscharliehair.com. That really will take you more to my booking site, but any questions you ever
Mhm.
have, you can DM me. I am open. I love talking. I love meeting fellow hairdressers.
Yes.
Especially if you're new in the industry, hit me up. I could talk all day.
Yes.
Thank
I love
you.
it.
Thank you for your time too. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So